this edition of 10 in 10. This is a show where we look at 10 education technology resources or topics, and we try to get through them in 10 minutes. So let's get going. Today's episode is called 10 Ways to Teach Coding to Kids. Now, coding, you say to yourself, well, what the heck is coding? Coding, back in the old days, used to be called programming. And so really, what we're trying to do is to teach our students from a very early age how to program computers. This is becoming a very big topic, especially in STEM education, which is our science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. Coding is going to be very big in the future. Lots of jobs going to be involved in coding. And so if we can get our students interested in coding at an early age, they can use those skills all the way through school. And it's not just when you learn how to code, it's not just about computers. It's also about sequencing, which is an English language arts skill. There's lots of math skills involved in it. So it's not just about computers. When you're learning about coding, you're learning about a whole bunch of other things. So let's start looking at these resources. The first one is called code.org. This is a website you can go to called code.org. This is kind of like the mothership of coding. Lots and lots of resources for kids to learn about coding, all the way from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So if you have absolutely no background in coding, this is a good place to start, code.org. So the next website is a website, scratch.mit.edu. So you can tell it comes from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Scratch is a programming language that was written by the same gentleman that a long time ago wrote a programming language called Logo, which if you were a student in the 80s or the 90s, you might have been programming in a language called Logo. It's a very, very simple programming language. It's drag and drop. The students just tell the computer what to do by dragging and dropping commands. They put the commands in a sequence, and then they hit play, and then they see what happens on the screen. Scratch is a great way to introduce students to coding. Another website is called Stencil.com. And Stencil.com, you can see if you compare that screen back to the one on Scratch, they look very, very similar, where you drag and drop the code into a sequence. You have something, and then press the play at the end, hit something happens, and again, no coding required, very simple. It's a way to get interested. And the students can actually go online and build little games. Not real complicated. They're not going to build World of Warcraft or anything like that, but they can build very simple games that teaches basic computer programming. We've all heard of Khan Academy. Well, Khan Academy isn't just about teaching about math skills. It isn't just teaching science stuff. They actually have a whole section on Khan Academy that's dedicated just to programming. So if you go to Khan Academy and you type in and you do a search for programming, you'll get this whole section on programming and coding. And it's not just for the little ones like Scratch. Scratch and Stencil, they're more for our little students. Khan Academy has a little bit more complicated programming for our older students. Again, I keep coming back to iTunes U, but it's another place that's got lots of free materials for students. In matter of fact, in iTunes U, you can actually find entire computer courses, college courses on programming in specific programming languages like Perl or JavaScript or all programming for iOS devices or Android devices. iTunes U, tons and tons of material. So if you've got access to iTunes or an iTunes U app on your iOS device, type in programming, see what kind of courses come up. Next one is Code Academy, codeacademy.com. It's a very simple website. You just sign up. You don't have to have a credit card or anything like that. You just sign up, get started. It walks you through some very basic programming, and everything you do shows up on the screen. So the students can actually see their program as they're making it. So as they're typing it in or it's walking them through some programming, they can actually follow that along. codeacademy.com. Here's another one that's really interesting, and this is targeted more for our elementary students. It's called Hackett.com, and it's another way to learn some very, very basic programming. It's a little bit above Scratch. So Scratch, if you think Scratch, that's probably for very, very basic learners. Hackett E is the next step up. So Hackett E, if kindergartners, first and second graders are using Scratch, Hackett E might be for our third, our fourth, fifth, sixth graders. Hackett E is a really good website to get going for our older students. This is a really funny website with a great name. The website is actually called Code Monster, but it's got a really long website to get to. You got to go to crunchzilla.com/Code Monster. What it does is it teaches JavaScript, and JavaScript is used a lot in gaming. It's also used a lot in on the internet, and so again is a little bit more for our more advanced students in programming. But you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, that's where they'd enter the code. The right-hand side of the screen, that's where whatever they've entered shows up, so they can see immediately what's happening. It used to be in the old days, you have to program right on the computer. You'd have to have the code on the computer itself. You'd have to download the program or install the program on your computer. It's not the case anymore. A lot of times you can actually do the programming online. Okay. I'm going to end this section with some apps. There's some apps that actually teach programming. This is one, but there's lots of other ones out there. This is called Hopscotch. It's an app that teaches programming. Again, it's very, very basic. It's very similar to Scratch. A little bit more complicated than Scratch, but if you have an iOS device and I think also an Android device, you can actually download Hopscotch. And I believe it's free, but just a word of caution to our parents, there's some add-ons that are paid for, so be careful about that. So the final thing I want to talk about is the Hour of Code. Now every year across the world, school districts, schools, parents, students are encouraged to play with code for 1 hour, just 1 hour out of their days, out of their lives actually. And so what I want to leave you with today is a little video about the Hour of Code. And after you watch that, thanks for joining us on this edition of 10 at 10.
This is so cool!
Hour of Code.
The Hour of Code.
Todos lo pueden hacer.
یا پروگرامی کد. من 42 خط کد دوست.
Your teacher says you guys are into it.
We are. It's very awesome.
Code.org has partnered with 30 public school districts across the country, including New York, Chicago, and Denver, to provide lessons in teacher training and writing.
The largest education events in history.
Organizers set what they called an ambitious goal of reaching 10 million students this week. Almost 15 million signed up.
This week, I'm proud to join the students, teachers, businesses, and nonprofit organizations taking new steps to support computer science in America's schools.
They've been so excited about it.
You're learning and you're playing.
I got it.
I ran an hour of code that's easy to do.
They're learning how things are created in a technological world, and that's their world and their upcoming world.
Every district should do, every district can do it.
I'm actually seeing the kids in elementary school start coding, and this is amazing.
I'm actually gonna code.
Love it?
Yes, I love it.
Is coding super fun?
Yes!
If you can change technology, you can change the world.
I challenge girls in every single country to learn 1 hour of code.
Computer science can unlock the best opportunities in the world no matter where you are.
Please help us get the Hour of Code to 100 million students this year.
And my school's doing it.